We need to send her some good positive vibes.
Oh, Julie's amazing. I know she'll handle it.
But as Sarah's already said, what we think about, we bring about, and what we believe and understand to be true is what we manifest. And kind of the challenging part of that is we really need to pay attention. Okay, we need to pay attention to our self speak. And so oftentimes we say, oh, I'm positive. I think positively all the time. But then when you're doing your self talk in the middle of the night, you're saying things like, oh, I feel terribly. I'm never going to get to sleep tonight. Um, Things are so hard right now. And when you say things like that, the universe listens. And so when you say things are hard, the universe needs to match that frequency and make things hard. When you say, I'm not feeling good, the universe has to match that, and you don't feel good. When the universe is hearing you not being able to go to sleep, you're not going to go to sleep. And so you have to be present all the time and pay attention. I do this exercise every now and then, and I catch myself and I'll write down, what am I saying to myself today? And I'll just keep a piece of paper nearby me so that I catch myself writing things down. I know a mantra that I've had in my life for a long, long time is, and it started when I was first getting introduced to cycling. I bicycle a lot, and every now and then you'll be kind of fatigued in the latter miles of a big long ride, and then there's a steep hill again up against your horizon, and you're like, oh my gosh. And that's exactly the wrong thing to say. And so I caught myself saying that, and I started saying, every day in every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. Every day in every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. And with each pedal stroke, as I went up that pretty steep hill, I kept saying that every day in every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. And it just kept getting easier and easier as I pedaled up that steep hill. And so mindset is hugely important. It's so important that it can even shift your reality, your physical reality, your environmental reality, and of course your mental reality. And most people think mindset is just about, oh, it's just like that feel good thing. Well, most of us trust Harvard research. And so I found this research, and it was done by Elaine Langer. She's a Harvard professor, and she's heralded as the mother of positive psychology. And so she did this study, and she was the leader of the study. And she instructed men to think and feel and speak and act if they were younger, and they really weren't being successful. And so what she did to really shift the reality is they took this building that had been kind of abandoned, and they had all these elderly men. They're hunched over and they're on canes, and they put them in this building which they had decorated and changed everything and shifted it to an era 22 years earlier. 22 years earlier. And so it had music playing, it had magazines in there that were 22 years old. Everything was as if they had rolled the clock back 22 years. And here's the thing that's interesting is they weren't in there a month, they weren't in there a year, they weren't in there even a week. They were in there 5 days. And after 5 days at the monastery, a series of biomarkers were tested. And every one of the men looked younger, were physically more supple, showed improved manual dexterity, and even had better eyesight. And as they were waiting for their van to return, and again, remember, these were men that walked in there hunchback on canes and walkers. And as they were waiting for the van to come pick them up after the 5 days, they started playing touch football and shouting and hollering like teenagers. 5 days. That's what 5 days of shifting your mindset to a younger mindset can do for you. So imagine if we just took 5 days and shifted it to a healthier mindset, a wealthier mindset, a more positive mindset. What would that do in your life? There's this psychologist. His name is Brunson, and he wrote all sorts of books about the psychology of self-esteem. And his whole theory is if we were just 10% more happy, 10% more thankful, 10% more grateful, 10% more, you name it, how would your life be different? And he has you do these exercises, and you write down how your life would be different if you were just 10%, and you fill in the adjective. 10%. He's not asking for 100%, an about face in your attitude, just 10%. Who can't be 10% better in their lives? 10% better in their lives. That's all we're asking of you in the coming days and weeks. And to just immerse yourself in that attitude, being aware consciously and subconsciously. There's 4 levels of competence, and right now we're making you aware of these aspects. And we want you to get all the way through the 4 levels until it happens unconsciously and you don't even have to think about that. That's what we call getting in touch with your neurological core. And most people are not in touch with their neurological core. They have you ever had a person and they'll say, "Well, you itch my back right here." And they point to the exact spot and you start scratching it. And then, oh, a little lower, to the left, to the right. And you're like, a foot away from where they initially pointed. It happens all the time because people are not in touch with their neurological core, and they aren't really aware of their body. They aren't really aware of their mind. They aren't really aware of their heart. And so I want you to practice coming into your body and being aware of your body. Just being aware of your body all the time. One thing in yoga that you can do is called mountain pose. And it's just simply standing there in kind of an anatomically correct posture with your abdominal core engaged and your shoulders back and your head back and your knees slightly relaxed, and just balancing on your 2 feet and just being aware of your body, being conscious of your breath. And that's a good exercise to just do for 5 or 10 minutes a day, to just tap in, drop into your body. And then when you tap in and drop into your body, then you start to tap in and drop into your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. So that's the goal. That's the goal of this experience, is that you get more in touch with your conscious reality all the time, and that you are most present. Just like me. Like right now on the other side of this glass door is my granddaughter, and she's making faces at me, but I'm being present with you. And so that's the important thing. And what I thought would be funny that we talk about is giving you ideas of how to be more conscious and attitudes that you should adopt. And so I found these 13 hidden traits of billionaires. And so this is a guy that constantly works with billionaires. His name is Robin Sharma. And he wrote this list of these 13 traits that he found that were common among the billionaire clients that he works with. And the first trait is a foolhardy degree of self-faith. Not just self-faith, but a foolhardy degree of self-faith. Realizing that, the 10 most powerful 2-letter words, if it is to be, then it is up to me. That's what they realize. And that's the belief they have adopted and adapted into their life all the time, so that they understand that they are responsible for their current reality. That was a thought that somebody introduced to me a long time ago. And at the time, I was kind of going through a stressful period of my life. And the person said, Do you know you are right now, right where you are because of every past decision that you've ever made in your life? And that just smacked me in the face. I'm like, no way in heck, I didn't decide to be here. This period of my life stinks, you know. I was really wallowing in the soup, you know, of my bad situation. And then I realized, oh yeah, I chose this, I chose that, I chose this, I chose that, and then consequently, I'm right where I was that particular day. And so we are responsible not only for where we are, whether it be good or bad, but where we are going. So, where are we going with our thoughts and our beliefs and our reality? Hopefully, we're going to your goals, and hopefully, you have goals and you've written them down and you focus on them all of the time. So, this is a little thought that I want you to possibly write down and relish in your brain. To have the results that only 5% of the population have, so the cream of the crop, so to speak, you need to do what 95% of the people are unwilling to do. Just like today, you know, there's only a small percentage of you on this call today because a lot of people aren't willing to give up their time on a Saturday morning and be on a call because they have other plans, they have other desires that right now in the present are more important than their future. Right now in the present, it's more important than their future. And so, you know, we make decisions all the day, all the time, and sometimes those decisions cost us our potential in the future. And so we need to constantly be reminding ourselves, and we'll get to this in the latter part of today, that what are our ultimate goals? What are our ultimate goals? And is this decision I'm making today supporting one or more of those ultimate goals? And it's fine that it doesn't. You know, it is absolutely fine that it doesn't. But is that going to put you behind? Are you not going to be able to make that up in the future? Things like that. That's what you want to think about all the time. So, trait number one, a foolhardy degree of self faith. Trait number two, a blinding vision of a brighter future. I love these adjectives because it's not just a vision of the future, a brighter future. It's a blinding vision. You are so committed to that, you can't see anything else. That's what that means. You are so focused on this future goal, this future uh, accumulation of wealth, accumulation of health, accumulation of relationships, whatever your goal is, it is so bright that it's blinding. You can't see the current situation that you're in. You are just drawn into that future situation, whatever that might be. So it's a visionary's gift. It really is. It's a gift to be able to see things so clearly that it's just you don't even see it as being impossible. And with that vision, this is the important part. You want to see it so clearly that it churns something up inside, some emotion. Emotion, remember, is energy in motion. So you've got to see that vision so clearly to the point that it creates emotion and creates energy and then creates action or motion. So if you aren't seeing your vision that clearly, you just have work to do. You either need to adjust your vision because you don't yet believe it, or you need to adjust your feelings about that vision. Trait number three, a terrific thirst for rebellion. Now, that doesn't mean you're going out and breaking laws or anything like that. It means you're an innovator. It means you're ready to do whatever it takes, even if people say that won't work. You know, I think of lots of people in our past that have done things that people say are physically or mentally or whatever impossible. One that always comes to mind for me because I'm a runner is Roger Bannister. Everybody back at the time said nobody could run a sub 4 minute mile. Your heart would explode. Talk about, a goal buster. You know, who wants their heart to explode? You know, that is definitely not not a reality. But if you think about it, people were running, 403s and 404s and 402s, and really to run it 3 or 4 more seconds faster, your heart would explode. That's what these doctors and scientists were saying. But Roger Bannister believed he could do it. He believed it so fervently that when he actually did it and they interviewed him, he believed he had already done it. He believed he had already done it earlier in his mind so fervently that when he did it, it just was like a speed bump in his life. It wasn't like this big accomplishment. And then because he did it, within a month, like 13 or 14 other people did it. Now, in present day society, high school kids are doing it. Years ago, elite athletes couldn't even do it. Now we have high school kids doing it. So that's the shifts in our reality. And often all it takes is somebody else doing it. And then we all of a sudden believe, well, he or she's no better than me. I can do that. Well, why don't you be the trailblazer? Why don't you be the one creating the path for the other people to follow? Trait 4, a childlike level of curiosity. So this kind of goes with the other one. Without curiosity, how are you ever going to color outside the lines, as they say? You've got to constantly be researching, investigating, and doing different things. There's oftentimes we get thrust in positions that we're not comfortable with. And oftentimes that we're doing things that are unusual for us. Well, you're never going to grow if you don't embrace that opportunity and just do the best you can. I think of this situation. The other day I was in a conference and they had all of us reading aloud. And there were several people, and most of us were doctors, that struggled with reading aloud. And all of us are successful doctors. Every single one of us I know have successful practices around the country. But there were a few of us that were struggling to read aloud. It's just not something that they've made a priority to be good at. 2 doctors admitted they don't even really like reading, even though we were there to discuss a book that we had read. So, get outside your comfort zone. They showed up regardless of their desire to not read. And they didn't read, they listened to the book on audio, which is fine, absolutely fine. They got the information, they were there, they shared, they interacted, and everything was good. So there's always a way to achieve whatever needs to be achieved. You just, I forget who it was, some past really successful person, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on their name. He always said, I don't need to know everything about XYZ. I just need to know that I can hire somebody that knows everything about XYZ. And so we don't have to be the expert in every field, but we have to be a team builder and bring people in that can help us achieve all the goals that we want to achieve. Look at what we've done with Kokua Vida. We have experts in here. We have medical doctors, osteopathic doctors, chiropractors. We have, Tibor that has a vision that just is like off the charts for this company. We have formulators that are making great and unique products for the company. We have IT people. Gosh, I suck at IT. Okay, we have IT that can just whip up a website in rockstar time. So be ready to enlist the help of others and have that childlike curiosity to meet people, and childlike curiosity to read, and childlike curiosity to learn and discover. Trait number 5, acute carelessness about opinions of critics. I'd hate to have a job where I was called a critic, number one. That's me personally. But yet people sign up for that. That's their job. And so guess what? If their job is to be a critic, most of the time they're going to find something to be critical about. Even if they like your book or movie or whatever, they're going to find an area to be critical about you. And so, you know, critics, that's just their MO. That's for whatever reason they like to be critical. So we've got to rise above that and number one, learn from that, reflect upon that. Maybe it's an area of our life where we could do better. And that's important to think about, but think about in a positive way, spin it into a lesson for yourself. How can I be, let's say they say you're, arrogant or something. Well, let me think. Am I really arrogant? Am I not really open to other people? And do I think I'm an elitist? Do I think I'm, be mindful of it and see if you can make yourself a better version of yourself. But then if you think that's unfounded, then, oh, I see. They think my confidence is arrogant. I think that's it. I don't think I'm arrogant. I'm just super confident. And if that's the case, then move on. They're just trying to find fault in you. And some people think confidence is arrogance, but it's not. It's a knowingness of and an empowering emotion for yourself. Number 6, a gargantuan, like that, gargantuan commitment to consistency and persistency. You've never heard that before, be consistent or anything like that. And, the tortoise and the hare story, it goes back to that fable. And that's the thing. So many of us, we come to a call like this and we get motivated and we put in massive action for a week or two. And then we get sidetracked and then we're back to our old selves. And so commit to something that you can sustain. That's been my latest kind of mantra in my practice with my patients is I when I ask them to make a health change in their life, I really sit with them a minute and I say, is this something that you can sustain? Because the reason I came to that realization is I probably have more health enhancing habits than most people, but I realized that I adopted those over the course of many, many years. I didn't just implement them all at once. And I'll tell you what made me aware of that is I think it was my 50th birthday. My wife had all these things as, party food that I used to eat. And I'm like, I don't want any of this food anymore. But she thought it would be, fun party food and I would enjoy it. And I really didn't because it wasn't supporting the energy level that I had adopted. But I used to think back in, 20s and 30s that was healthy. And I ate that. And so we're all on a health journey. We start at different starting points, but we make changes over time consistently. Make a change that you can consistently stick to. And if you don't think you can consistently stick to it, adjust the change. Because the important part is the consistency and persistence. Number 7, a high love of winning and being the best in the world. And again, this is not about arrogance. This is about being a super achiever. All the things that we do in this industry, awarding people and having different recognitions and things like that. That's not about, arrogance. That's about living up to your potential. I remember I've always been the type of person that I like to know what it takes to make the next level. And I remember in Boy Scouts when I was a kid, I was like, okay, how can I get the next rank? And when I was in the military, how can I get promoted? I was always looking at what I needed to do to make the next level because it's very well defined in those organizations. Well, it's very well defined in our organization as well. What do we need to do to accomplish and meet our goals? So make sure we're committed to being the best in our field by far, not just a little bit better, just super exceedingly better. Trait 8, deeply trained ability to resist instant pleasures. That's what I was talking about earlier, about you guys being on this call in spite of it being Saturday morning. So you are exhibiting this trait right now, being here and being disciplined enough to show up, and being disciplined enough to take in the information and possibly write down a couple thoughts that you're going to implement into your life in the coming days and weeks and months. Discipline. And that really goes with the other ones before, the consistency and persistency. So you can see how there's a little bit of overlap, but yet not, because discipline is making that decision, one choice at a time. Persistency is measured over long times, but it comes from discipline in the moment. Trait 9 is learned skill of multiplying wealth. So there's lots of ways of making wealth. And, I always talk to my wife, I want to have multiple streams of income. That way, if one fluctuates, it's not a big deal because this one usually is doing better. And I saw that very, very acutely during the pandemic. And so, we think of active incomes and passive incomes. Well, passive incomes, of course, is where you put your money to work for you. And active income is the money that you make from making a contribution to the world. Okay? So it's not that you're going to work. It's not that you're starting a business. It's that you're making a contribution to the world. And you've got to view it that way, because if you aren't contributing to the world, your active income is not going to grow. If you don't see the bigger vision of what you're doing, like me, I'm a chiropractor. I see patients one patient at a time. But I really feel that as I see one patient at a time, that I'm shifting consciousness, and I'm shifting health consciousness, and I'm shifting mind consciousness, and expanding people's vision of where health comes from. I don't believe it comes from a pill or another surgery. I believe it comes from enhancing the energy in your body to heal from the inside out. Our body has complete potential to heal itself, but it doesn't heal if there's interference patterns. And those interference patterns could be all sorts of things. But if we don't remove those interference patterns, that person isn't going to heal. So we've got to make sure that we are multiplying our wealth with our mindset, and multiplying our wealth with being so passionate about what we do that people just want to come and be around us. I think the saying goes something like this, that you're so passionate, you're so popular, you're so inspired that people just want to come and watch you burn, something like that. And that's so true. There's just people that you're drawn to, like a moth to a light, and you want to be in their energy. So trait number 10 is refusal to be around negative people. I remember this trait at this talk one time when I was younger, and it was a older chiropractor, and his kids were already raised. And he said, when he interviewed the friends of his children, he wanted to know if they were under regular chiropractic care. And if they weren't, he really didn't want them to be around them, because that would, interfere with their nervous system, and interfere with the open and uninhibited synapses of their brain and nervous system to where they could be healthy. And so when you're around negative people, that's what they do. They interfere with your dreams. They interfere with your beliefs. They interfere with your reality of life. And they just bring you down, and you don't have the energy to even go on to the next thing, or the next decision, or the next action step. And it can go as deep, when you're really passionate about what you do, and you understand the importance of your nervous system and the energy system, then you really don't want to be around people that don't feel that way, and don't have open nervous system pathways, and don't have open energy pathways. So, it can go multiple levels deep with that one. Trait 11, a near infinite sense of agency over accomplishment. And so, this is getting out of that victim mentality. And so many times we say, I could be successful if they would just change the tax rates, or they didn't bump me up into a higher income bracket if I earned more, or didn't get rid of that deduction, or didn't get rid of that way I can market my business, or all of that. There can always be an excuse. That excuse can be a government, an agency, a regulating agency, anything. And we can come up with infinite amounts of excuses, but accomplishment is what we need to measure our success by. So we need to find a way. The other day, we're redoing the internet at our office, and the guy was there to run the wire, and he's telling me that I'm going to run the wire right here on your property, and we'll have a direct line right here to where we're going to hook up. And I said, that won't work. And he's like, why? There's nothing here. I said, yes, but there will be something here. My vision is there will be a building here in the next 3 to 5 years, and that line will be right in the middle of it, and it's going to get cut and have to be rerun. And I don't want that line interfering with my vision of that building being here. And so he said, okay, well, let's run it this way. And that's all it took, was me explaining that my vision of a building there. And he said, okay, let's not do the same work twice. So people, when you explain your vision, they quickly align to your vision if you have passion about your vision. If you say, well, I'm thinking about putting a building here in the next, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years, I don't know, it may never happen. Then he might have said, well, let's just run it. And if that happens, then we'll deal with it then. But I said, I'm going to put a building there in the next 3 to 5 years. And so he adjusted his action to align with my vision. Number 12, an application of the asymmetric risk reward paradigm. They call it the ARRP program. So, every action has a risk, every action has a reward, and sometimes you're going to fail. That's just part of life. And who was it? Edison. He tried over 100 times to invent the light bulb, and they asked him, how'd you feel about that? He said, well, I just felt like I figured out another way not to invent the light bulb. And so that's the way we need to feel, is that we just figured out another way, that our current situation is not going to work. Now we just need to tweak it and figure a way that it will work. And sometimes we've got to educate people along the way, because they're still of the mindset that it won't work. That's happening in my life right now. And I'm dealing with attorneys, and my attorney says it won't work. An attorney that has done what I'm wanting to do hundreds of times says I'm absolutely right. And so I'm having to educate my attorney, because she's in my state. The other attorney that I'm talking to is in a different state. So I'm having to educate them. Even though I'm not an attorney, I'm having to educate her that this will work. And this is the credentials of the person that I consulted. And he's done this for years, et cetera, et cetera. And we're moving ahead. So be passionate and be confident and understand risks and rewards in moving forward, so that you move forward in an action step that's going to yield you the proper rewards. Number 13 and final, the contrarian mode of deploying capital. So you want to spot hidden value in things. So sometimes we see that, I'm going to buy this house, for example, and it's going to be a great thing for me and my family and all that type of thing. And I'm going to go ahead and buy this house. But then we get thinking, and we're like, oh, okay, this house is going to appreciate, it's going to grow in value. I'm going to, I've got enough property here where I can add on if I want to. I can, do some landscaping if I want to, and add to the value of this house. I can, you know, maybe sell off a piece of my property. This is so big, and or maybe I can develop it and have other lots and sell those lots off and make even more money. There's all sorts of ways that we can discover hidden value in things. So if we look at Kukua Vida, the initial value on the surface level is we are sharing wonderful products that can be health enhancing to really everybody. But then the long-term value is they can talk about the same products and they can share it with more people. And then those people can share it with more people. And those people can share it with more people. And pretty soon we have so many people that are taking advantage of the Kukua Vida products. And it makes a number that we never could have reached that number by ourselves. It would have been impossible. But because everybody is just doing a little piece of the process and enjoying the benefits of the efforts that they do, then that grows exponentially. So it's that hidden value. And then the long-term value is everybody's getting more health conscious. Everybody is getting more aware. Everybody's coming to calls like this and getting a shift in their mindset. And pretty soon we have a world that is more positive and not complaining about debt ceilings and not complaining about, the value of the current currency they're using or the stock market or anything like that. Everybody is just doing their part to raise value in the things that they do. And so we have this massive shift in consciousness that's occurred because we started to share some products with some friends of ours. So the mission is really bigger than just us adding some health and wealth to ourselves, our personal wallet. Okay, so we have 20 minutes, and I want to talk about this kind of algorithm for a balanced life. And so we have these macro visions, very big visions. Some people call them big, hairy, audacious goals. And what I want you to do in the coming days is really, really get clear with that vision. Remember, so clear that it's blinding, so bright that you just can't see anything else. So get clear with your vision in all areas of your life. And really connect to that vision and really resonate with that vision. Create emotion. Write down the feelings that you feel when you see yourself accomplishing that vision, that goal. But just get crystal clear with it. That's step number one. Then step number two is every single week, pick one day, every single week, whatever day that's a little quiet for you, and whatever day where you have, I call it kind of like my hour of power, where you can set aside a block of time and you reflect on that vision or those visions. And you're not doing it for that whole hour. But you know how I've done this before, and I put goals in my phone. I like to store a lot of things in my phone because that way I always have it with me. And sometimes I'll look back on those goals and I'll say, wow, I haven't looked at these goals for a long time. But something, usually because I had such a bright vision for each one of those goals, even though I didn't look at those goals, they were still in the back of my mind. And usually when I look back at those goals, I've accomplished every single one of them. Usually 9 times out of 10, I've at least accomplished 80% of them, at least. But most of the time it's all of them. And so But that comes with that bright, bright vision, just being so emotional about that goal that you don't see any other path for your life. That is the goal. You're solely focused. So you do that every week. And then you spend some time out of that hour of power and you celebrate the positives and be grateful for the positives and be grateful for the steps that you took towards that goal. Maybe you didn't, have massive action that week because you had some stumbling blocks, but you celebrate the movement forward towards that goal. Even if it was a step back, you celebrate that step that allowed you to realize that wasn't the path you needed to take to get to this goal. So you've got to celebrate. You got to have time for that. And then step 4, you want to measure your progress. So for my practice, I actually have an app on my phone, and any given day, whether I'm there or not, I can pull up that app and I can see how many new patients are scheduled, how many patients are scheduled, how many services we are expected to give. And then throughout the day, that updates, and I can pull it up. How many new patients have shown up? How many patients have shown up? How many services have been rendered? How much money has been collected? So I can see that all throughout the day, any moment of the day, whether I'm in the practice or not. And so measuring success happens regularly. Well, they say inch by inch, it's a cinch. And so that's what we do. We know we have broken down our goals in our practice. We know how many new patients we need to see every shift, how many patients we need to see every shift, how many services we need to do every shift, how much collections we need to do every shift to meet our goals of our practice. And if we didn't do that, it'd just be like, oh, okay, we did pretty good today. You would have no measurement of where you are and how you're achieving things. And in our staff meetings weekly, I tell my staff, okay, so far we're 100% on track, or so far we're 10% behind. We need to pick up this week and do 10% extra or whatever. They know every single week what needs to happen. And then we don't just say we need to do 10% extra. Then we say that we look, we go, how can we get 2 more new patients this week? How can we get 10 more patient visits this week? We talk, we put action to the plan so that we know what we're going to do to achieve the next jump in our measurement. Then the 5th step is being inspirational. So you want to make every week exceptional. That's your goal. And so in this hour of power, you might adopt a saying. So maybe you've been having a tough week, and you might adopt my mantra and say, every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. Or sometimes in the practice or in my life, when it doesn't seem like money is flowing into my life, I start this mantra and I say, money flows easily to me. Money flows easily. Well, usually I say quickly and easily to me. Money flows quickly and easily to me. Because so many times people think, life is hard. I can't earn that much money. Well, you can't feed your brain those thoughts. You've got to say mantras all the time that support your goals. And if you're sitting there, who am I going to talk to about Kukua Vita? You might have a mantra. People are attracted to me and talk to me about their health challenges. And then they're just coming to you and you can share the products. People are attracted to me and they talk to me about their financial difficulties. And then you can share with them about the affiliate program. Whatever, you've got to shift your mindset. And it's amazing when you have that mindset and people just start saying things and you're like, wow, why'd they say that to me? I just feel like they're wanting me to talk about this company to them. And it will happen, I guarantee you. So step number 6 is prioritization. So again, you've got to make things a priority. You've got to make things uh, important in your life, so important that you won't do the fun things until those things are done, or until you schedule the specific time where that thing's going to get done in your day. If you've got to do something and it requires, the morning, like maybe you're going to go golf with some friends. On Saturdays, I usually go biking with some friends. So obviously, I didn't do that today. But, it's important to me. So a lot of times I'll schedule my reading and other stuff to do in the afternoon when I get back from biking because I'm tired. So I want to just sit and read and study and things like that. So make sure you make things a priority. Then next thing is now I can't even speak. Integration of all of these aspects into your life. So it's one thing to spend this hour of power and have all of these reflections and celebrations and measurements and inspirational stories and things that you're telling yourself, but it's another thing to integrate them into your life. So where are you going to schedule that into your life to get the steps done, to reflect on your statistics of your week, and to, get the tasks into your day that you need to get into? So scheduling is important. And then finally, execution, following through. And I know sometimes I don't know why, it happens to me all the time. There's like this one little task and it just weighs heavily on me. And I'm like, I don't want to call this person, or I don't want to do this, or I hate doing this paperwork, or whatever it might be. But 9 times out of 10, you get it done and you're like, okay, that wasn't as bad as I made it up to be. And so you spent all that time being negative about it when you could have just done it and have been over with and checked it off. And so executing your plan. So I just write things now. What I do is I write things down, what I have to get done today. Then I prioritize what is the most important thing that I get done today. Like some things have deadlines and you absolutely have to get them done today because something's going to happen tomorrow. So make sure you prioritize the things that absolutely have to get done today, because sometimes you just don't get everything done in a day that you want to get done. That's completely normal. In our minds, we see things going smoothly, and they don't always go smoothly, do they? Sometimes things take 5 times as long as they should take. I don't know why. The other day, I was just a simple task that normally takes me 5 minutes. It took me over a half hour because the site wasn't working right. It wasn't my fault. I couldn't make it work right, but yet I kept trying until finally I said, okay, I'm gonna have to try tomorrow. And guess what? Then the next day it worked in the 5 minutes that it should have taken. But you don't know that. So my desire is to get that task done. So I keep persevering, and then you realize the site's not right. And that happens in life. There are barriers that we can't overcome in that instant. And oftentimes my barriers seem to be technology related, and I'll be like, oh crap, I'll have to call my IT guy in the morning, or because I do a lot of my work late at night because I'm seeing patients during the day. And so it'll be like 10 or 11 at night, and I'm not going to bother my IT guy unless it's super, super important. And so I give it up until the next day when first thing in the morning, because it's priority, I get on the horn with the IT guy so that he can fix it. And 9 times out of 10, guess what? He fixes it like in 2 minutes, and I've struggled with it for 30 or 60 minutes. So this is a system to design every week. And once you design every week in this way, then you have a successful month. And then a successful month turns into a successful quarter, and a successful quarter turns into a successful year. And, not every month is going to be perfect. Not every year is going to be perfect. But if you string together a series of good with an occasional bad because it's just going to happen. Overall, the whole compilation is good. It's usually great. I always uh, am amazed when we get to the end of our year. Every year we've done better in our practice than the year before. Every single year. And some years it's massive amounts of better. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars of better. And it's amazing to me that you thought you were working hard the year before, but now you are working at this whole new level, and you're like, well, how did I think I was working hard there, and now I do this new level, and it's just 30% better, but yet it's not like it's killing me. And so you just have no idea of what 30% better is going to feel like until you get there. And usually it's not that bad as far as the amount of work you put in. It's and it's so much better because of the amount of reward that you're getting. So those are some thoughts and things. And I would hope that you would do this weekly kind of self mastery, week mastery exercise. Like I say, find that time, and you want to do it around all aspects of your life. Your health, your family, your prosperity, adventures. I remember people saying most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do their life, and that's so true. We intricately work out every detail of our vacation to get everything scheduled and everything uh, pre-planned and reserved, and hotel reservations, flight reservations, all the different steps that you have to do, and pack a suitcase and think about everything. And we don't even do that with our weeks. We just go through them nilly-willy. And this is what I'm asking you to do, is pretend every week is a vacation and plan it the way you want it to happen so it feels like a vacation. And Zig Ziglar always used to say, do you ever realize that people get done twice as much the week before vacation than they do any other week? Because they realize they're not going to be there the next week. And so they have to get all this stuff wrapped up so that they can go on vacation. So his mantra was work like you're going on vacation the next week. And eventually you will be going on vacation, and you'll probably be going on more vacations. But you get more done when you plan to get those things done than if you just go in and show up and like, oh, what do I need to do? How's this going to happen? You just don't know, and you just end up putting out fires as opposed to celebrating successes. So hopefully that helps. I think we're close to the end of our time, and those are some thoughts that I've been implementing and using in my life over the recent past and years, and really serves me on so many levels to be more prepared and more successful and more proactive in the things that I do. I am busy. I like being busy, and but if I schedule things, I get things done. This call was scheduled, so it got done. If it wasn't in my schedule, I wouldn't be here. And so I'd probably be on a bike ride. So hopefully you all just grab 2 or 3 little nuggets. You don't have to do all of this. I've developed this over years. But just grab 2 or 3 nuggets. Every time you meet, grab 2 or 3 nuggets, and it's going to up level you more than you realize. So don't feel like you have to live your life like I live mine. Live your life the way that feels right to you and feels better to you than any other life you imagined yourself living. And you will, you'll celebrate your life instead of curse your life, because that's what we're here to do. I heard a term recently, and they called it earthing. And I'd always heard of earthing as it pertains to getting out in nature and walking barefooted on the beach or in the grass or anything like that. And that has multiple health benefits. So if you don't do that, do that. But earthing is just a descriptive term of us earthing here on earth, getting through life. And all we're supposed to do is figure out the number one goal of your life is to figure out to make your life's journey here on earth a heavenly journey.
Mm,
It's meant to be heaven on earth.
yes.
That's all we're here to be, is learn that lesson of how to make our own heaven here on earth. And your heaven is going to be different than my heaven. And your definition of that is going to be different than my definition of that. But if we all make our own heaven right here on earth, think of how wonderful earth would be. And that, I believe, that's our lesson of this earthly journey, is to make this a heavenly journey here in an earthly experience. So if you learn nothing, take that with you and figure out how you can make your own heaven here on earth.
Dr. Phillips, this was incredible this morning. Thank you for that. And I loved how you shared that you found goals that you had written down. That recently happened to me. And when I was reorganizing, I had found an old folder and I didn't have anything crossed off in there. And when I had opened it, I had already accomplished everything. So it had been a couple years later, and I was able to go through and mark and say, "Hey, I had accomplished that." So how incredible. And I love how you ended it with, having our heaven here on earth. That's so perfectly stated. So I hope this was a perfect way to start the weekend, you guys. I hope everybody has a blessed weekend and stay tuned. We have calls coming up on Monday. Pax, you want to say something, Pax?
Yeah, I'm listening. I've listened carefully to Dr. Phillips, and it's so great. It is managing your own life.
Yes.
And that is very important. Like with everything you do, it's management. And I think so much. There were quite some good nuggets in there. I took with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pax. Okay, love to you all and have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you next time, okay?
Yeah, you too.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.